Now, let's go back to that area of your neck, and let's see if we can understand that a little better. So now just standing up like this comfortably, do you feel anything in your neck there now?
Yeah, feels like a neck strain. Like when I strained my neck and it hurt really bad for 5 days and I couldn't move and I had to take off of work. It feels like that a lot duller.
Okay. All right. Um, well, I think since the neck is getting involved in stretches that shouldn't really involve it, because when you're over like this, yeah, there are muscles that have to keep your head's pretty heavy from falling over like this, but really there's nothing that needs to tighten up to hold you like that. That's kind of what I would call a normal relaxed body pose. But when you're feeling tightness like that, it might seem like it's like, oh, it's just getting tired, it's done too much work, but really these muscles don't get tired like that unless they're doing work they shouldn't be doing. So a goal with that sort of situation is to remind those muscles they don't have to do anything when they come in to that position. But muscles can be very stubborn. Once they've decided, hey, I can be in this pose, and if I tighten up, then everything's okay. I'm not going to fall over. I'm not going to get hurt. They'll stick to that until you really prove to them that, hey, that they can let go. Let's try a little bit of neck positioning stuff. So this one would be good for your sitting down stretch.
Is it possible that I have some existing damage to my neck and ligaments that might get exacerbated by making it do these things when I should be resting and not playing video games as much before I start doing these activities?
I can hear the concern in your voice, and I totally understand. But I had a lot of very similar sorts of problems in my neck area that a lot of these stretches, they really help to alleviate.
Right now, when my neck goes, it's shit. My life sucks. So I don't want to do anything about my neck.
I totally get you. And we can stay away from it if you're not comfortable with it yet. But what I've found is, when I've had a few neck strains since I've started doing stretches, what I do is do occasional stretches in the area, but focus on not the areas that are painful, but focus on the areas around them. Because what happens is you might have a little bit of a muscle strain in there that and it'll have, the muscles around it are going to tighten up to prevent you from getting into that painful position, right? It's all those muscles around it, and sometimes even the ones around them that try and support this whole, they call it splinting, to kind of your body's protective mechanism to keep you from hitting these painful spots all the time. What happens is this splinting overcompensates them, and you kind of got to you need to convince it that, hey, okay, maybe it can't get to this point, but really just the muscles around it, they're okay to work. And if they get a chance to rest now and then and don't have to do this constant splinting, then what happens is that the strain can alleviate a lot quicker. I used to be out for like a week or more when I would have a neck spasm. But now I usually find it's about maybe 2 days before it'll go away. Actually, it's been, almost a couple of years now since I've had one. But when I was getting them early on, I found that if you do really gentle and really slow stretching around the area, it can help out. there's one I've started to do that might be good here. And it's basically it's it's similar to the circles, but it's more about just putting your head in a certain pose. Like say we might go, let's go forward really slow.
And that wasn't good for my neck, what I just did. But you know, I wanted to. That's another thing. You know, I make so many small bad decisions for my neck every day. All right. What was it? You were putting your chin forward or something?
Yeah. So now you want to kind of think of we're bending towards the lower part of the neck instead of just doing a like at the top of the neck bend. I want to let's try and lean the whole neck forward, but let's just go really shallow into it. So before you go into it, let's just start by getting comfortable in the upright position. Because you know these are all about stretch sequences. Your starting point, your intermediate points, and then your maybe your final point at the end of where you're gonna use your range of motion. So if you get your starting point really relaxed and you get that really kind of burned in your brain as to what does really relaxed neck feel like, then when your muscles start to tighten up as you get deeper into the stretch, it can be a little easier to convince yourself that, hey, I can be in this position and be just as relaxed as that initial pose. So yeah, go ahead and close your eyes. Feel your head really easily, really gently supported on your body. So all the way down to your sit bones. You can kind of feel the line from the top of the back of your head down those sit bones. Feel how everything can be gentle and nothing needs to tighten up to be in that pose. You could probably stay there for 10 minutes or something and you wouldn't have any strain if you're really relaxed. Do you feel anything tight when you're in that pose?
No, this is the most perfect ergonomic and relaxed position I've had in a long time. I'm sitting on my footrest right now, but it's actually kind of perfect. Um, my pelvis is thrusted forward. I'm sitting upright, but not too upright. Relaxed. I feel like I can sit here for 10 minutes.
Okay, cool. So yeah, remember that pose and remember that feeling. Now, see if you can convince yourself that you could lean your head all the way forward, like I was describing, and your body would feel just as relaxed, just as kind of centered as you do now. If you keep your body weight centered on your sitting point as you lean forward, then there's very little your body needs to do to maintain that position.
So would you lean a little bit?
What's that?
Would you lean back a little bit?
Lean back? Yeah, you could. I would maybe gently, maybe just kind of feel yourself go into different directions. You could go back a little bit, forward a little bit, just kind of moving your body weight without even moving your neck, and just feel how balanced you can be there. When you're balanced, then there's a lot less work that your front and the back of your body has to do to keep you upright here. And once you feel like you're at a good balance point, I want you to think of the bones of the back of your neck. there's one point where your neck has a natural bend. And I want you to think maybe one or two bones right above that bend point. And you're going to try positioning it forward just like a couple of millimeters. You might not even be able to see a change there.
I think I'm doing it now, but I don't think anybody would be able to see it. It was like a
No,
million too.
probably not. And now I want you to recenter yourself and keep that slight bend that you made. Keep that positioning of those neck bones at the same point in space, but just let everything relax around it. Give a couple of good breaths there. Do you feel anything starting to tighten up in your neck there yet?
Yeah, that point at the natural curve, it wants to be straight again.
Okay. Well, let's give it back what it wants then. Let's just move those couple millimeters back to where it felt safe and it felt like it could relax. See if we can regain that feeling. But keep your mind on where you felt that tighten up. Just moving a couple millimeters away from center, logically, there's no reason that a muscle should have to tighten up just to do that. Our body has a lot more free range of motion than that. But you want to think of those muscles. Okay, those are the first ones that want to grab when my head and neck bend forward. So now let's try doing some deep breathing while still in this relaxed pose. And I want you to try and direct that breath to that point where you felt the tightness. Make sure on the inhale that area of your neck inflates like a balloon. And then on the exhale, making sure it fully deflates. Do you feel any of that same tightness coming up when you just try and inflate the area?
I think I feel the memory, the physical memory of the tightness, but no, I think it's gone.
Okay, good. All right, now let's try going maybe about half as far as you did last time when you felt the neck tightness. If you went 2 millimeters, see if you can just go 1 millimeter. And now use that breath again to see if it can inflate that neck area tightness. Because one of the slightly more advanced concepts in sequential stretching that I'm working on some content for is it's all about playing with knots. You might start out a stretch by thinking in terms of what movement you're going to do, what range of movement you might like. But really what I tend to do with these is use that initial movement to find a knot to play with and then find ways to kind of manipulate that knot into letting go of some of its tightness. You're not likely to let go of all of it, but if you think of a knot like being a ball of string, there's probably little pieces of string hanging off here and there that you might be able to pull off that ball and get it to let go. You're still going to have a ball of string there all knotted up maybe. But if you can get some of those outer strings to loosen up a little bit, your ball will be a little smaller and it'll be a little easier to get to some of the inner strings. Now, when you inflate that area of your neck again, do you feel anything there?
It feels the same as when it was upright.
Okay. All right.
That's probably one of my biggest problems is that when you said push your neck forward a little bit, I probably just pushed it all the way I could until I felt pain. So
Yeah.
it's hard to tell how far to go. Like my dimensions are different than your dimensions. My weak spot is different than yours. And
Yeah.
I just, all right, I'm gonna go until I can't go any further, and I did it. But
And that's kind of the traditional stretching is, go as far as you can, hold it for a while, and then that's your stretch, right? My stretch is more about, don't worry about going as far as you can. Go as far as you can before you feel that initial real low level tightness. If you can get into that border area that I like to focus on, you think of this about if you've got two parts of your range of motion, this part below my hand here is totally free and has no tightness. And up here is right where it just starts to have a few muscles grab and start to tighten up. Up here, it's going to be tighter, 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 and maybe that's as far as you can go in your range of motion, right? So what we're really interested in is that border area in between totally loose and just slightly tight, because that's the area where you might only have a few of these tight muscles that are getting in the way of things. Up here, you probably got hundreds of thousands of muscles all tight and pulling on each other, and yeah, you can move into that range of motion and feel like you have a stretch. But I think what happens more up there is more about giving yourself some pain, and then if you go back to releasing, you think, oh, that was a great stretch. But it's like, no, you're just getting endorphins because you caused yourself pain by going way too far. Don't try not to confuse endorphins with muscle release, because the ones you feel after the stretch, that's all about keeping your body pain in check. So we don't want to cause ourselves pain and end up like that. What we want is to get the muscles to release. And this can happen at a really gentle, really low level of tightness. What I want to do now is I want to have you lean forward in just slow little increments, a little millimeter at a time. And at each one of those increments, I want you to scan for that neck tightness. And
so like
feel the,
pivoting at the
oh, sorry, go ahead.
leaning forward from the hip or the neck.
From the neck again. So think of the bottom of the neck. So it's going to kind of put strain a little bit on the back of your neck here. If you have tightness there, which you probably do, I do, most people do. In reality, there shouldn't need to be any strain, but if everything was loose. And so just as again, take a good breath at each one of those positions, just a little bit forward. And I want you to tell me when you get to one where you feel the slightest bit of tightness from that part of your neck, and kind of stop there.
I guess here in the back where you were talking about.
Okay. Now, from like a 1 to 10 scale, 10 being tightest, like how tight do you feel it there?
3, and if I really pay attention during the day and I'm just sitting around normally, it's a 1 anywhere. So it's like a 3.
Okay. Yeah, 3's a little high for stretching, especially a sensitive area. So now what I want you to do is just back off like 1 notch from where you feel it there, just the tiniest bit back, and see if we can get it down to like a 1 or a 2 level tightness.
Yeah, right here it's back to a 1 like normal.
Okay, that's good. Now, And when you're sitting fully straight, do you even feel that one, or is that
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know if it's psychosomatic because I've been thinking about it, or if maybe it's just a little sore for moving around. It's a one no matter what, but a one for
Mhm.
really like a 0.5 for other people. I'm really sensitive. Those
Okay.
people, a cup of coffee and focusing on work, they wouldn't even notice it.
Okay. I got you. But yeah, don't discount it. I'll tell you myself as someone who's suffered from neck and back tightness. I'm at a complete zero when I'm fully balanced. Just know that's not just hey, I've been doing a lot. I've been working hard. There really are muscles there that are doing somebody else's job. So, all the muscles fibers in your body, they all have a particular way they like to pull. They're just straight fibers. So all they can do is shrink or get long, and they have one direction. It's a one-dimensional thing, but they're all pointed in all different ways so that they can, even if you're pointed this way, you can still do a little bit of the job of something that's pointed that way because you can pull that direction a little bit. But what you really want is for these ones to let go and these ones to take over, because these are the ones that can do that job without the slightest bit of tightness, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So when you're feeling tight, right, when you're in an area where, hey, I'm not doing any real work, I'm just sitting straight, you want to think, okay, well, these are the ones that are pulling the direction I need, but really I want them to let go so that this guy can do it. Okay. So now how do you get these two to convince them to let go? Usually what you do is you just vary the angles a little bit. So now maybe they feel, if this is the desired angle of motion or of support, and these are what's pulling at it, sometimes what it helps is just kind of change your angle just the slightest bit. And then they say, oh, well, I don't have to do any work for that. So then they can kind of let go, and maybe some other muscles might take over, but those ones now get a little rest. And then if you kind of go back to this area, they now that these muscles know, okay, I know how to tighten up and how to rest, they might be more likely to rest the next time. And when they rest, then this one, which is supposed to be doing its job, it might have a brief millisecond where it can actually engage and get strong and be able to do its work. So what we want to do now is get back to that area where you just felt the initial tightness. See if you can relax it a bit. And then I want you to kind of do a little side move. Now, instead of bending forward, we're staying a little bit bent forward, but we're bending to one side. I'm kind of going to my left here. You can try the left side. Give a couple of good breaths. Feel them fill up that area of our neck. See what those muscles feel when they're in that position. What do you feel there?
It's hard to say. Maybe just a one still.
Okay. Well, let's try going a little bit more to the side then. And keep your focus on that area of your neck, and slowly lean until you feel it going just above a 1. Maybe like a level 2 or something. And then stop right there when you get to that level 2. What do you feel there?
It's hard to say. I would say the same.
Okay. All right. And now let's try moving backward a little bit. Let's keep that side bend and get rid of the forward tilt.
I don't know if this is a good. My neck hurts now, just in a normal position.
Okay, let's take a break from this. That might be about as much as you want to do on a stretch, on a for an area that's, you know, kind of already exacerbated by other things. You just want to, if you spend a little time with an area being gentle and being slow, sometimes what that'll do is it'll remind you of that gentle feeling, so that when you're going about your day-to-day business, you know, instead of maybe whipping your head around, you think, oh, okay, well, it felt all right when I went slow and gentle. And it'll kind of encourage you to be more gentle as you go through your motions, so that some of that area can kind of relax a bit.
That's
And then if you go back to stretch it later, you may be able to do it for a little longer, you know, but for right now, that's probably about as long as you want to do.
Yeah, I think it's holding the position that really hurts sometimes. And then yeah, I have really bad neck health. I whip it around, I'll juxtapose it to look at something while I'm doing something else. I mean, I'm aware of the things I do on a daily basis. Shoot, I shouldn't have done that. That was bad for my neck. But then I forget, do it again.
Yeah, and it's inevitable, you know, you know, our brain keeps track of how we move and how tight we were when we got to a certain position. And if it worked before, it'll do the same thing again when you're moving quickly. Yeah, if you think of this overall throughout your life, um, just moving slowly, moving gracefully, they call it, where, you know, instead of going jerkily around, you go, oh, okay, I can do it like this. You kind of given all the different muscle fibers that control those in between positions a chance to do their job, and instead of just tightening up and using momentum to get where you want to go.